Welcome to the Street Goat Awards. Please welcome your host, that guy who made that F1 video about Iron Man 2 that one time.
Hello, thank you, and welcome to the official Street Goat ceremony of Formula One. What a catchy title. I know a lot of people travelled very far to get here, so I will no longer waste anyone's time. Let's get straight to the point, and that is deciding who is Formula One's greatest ever street track racer. Let's cut to it. So, a few months ago, I released a video, which was a fantastic video, seen by many people, where we looked over every season of Formula One and saw who was the king of the streets in every single season. And from that, what we've done is added up every single time someone was king of the streets in a season, see who has got the most king of the streets. That person becomes our official Formula One Street Goat. It was a great video. You should watch it multiple times, as you should do with all Stop and Go F1 videos. But let's stop wasting time here and reveal who our winners are. So the envelope, please. Here it is. It's already open. It may have been tampered with. I'm sure it hasn't been. But, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest street racer of all time is Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher and Graham Hill. There you go, everybody. We've done it. The greatest street racers of all time. There you go. You take that back there. There you go. So they all had 5 King of the Streets before. So all 3 of them are the greatest of all time. Thank you. Good night. Safe travels home. Goodbye now. Sorry. Wait a minute. Sorry. I know you were leaving. You can just come all sit back down, please, for a second. Sorry. Because you can't have 3 greatest of all time. That's the whole point. You're only supposed to have one. The greatest of all time. You can't have 3. There's surely something we can do here. None of this one of the greatest of all time rubbish anymore. I'm fed up of it. Anyone can be one of the greatest of all time. We want the definitive greatest of all time. Now, what can we do here? We could look at the person who has got the most wins at street tracks ever. But, sometimes a hard-fought second place is more impressive than an easy first place. So, you can't take that out of consideration. You need to take into consideration every result every driver has ever had at a street race. So why don't we add up every points every driver has ever had at street races? But this presents us with a different issue now, because in 2025, a win is worth 25 points. But if you go back to 1950, a win is worth only 8 points. And as well, in 1950, if you finish 6th, you get nothing. Whereas if you finish 6th in 2025, you get 8 points. So a 6th place in 2025 is equal to a win in 1950. So if we just add up all the points, that's not going to be fair at all. So what you would need to do is look at every single street race ever, convert every single one into the modern day point system, and add up every single point anyone had ever scored. That would be like 220 races worth of points. That kind of work would take days upon days of time to sort out, and even then, you don't know if it's actually going to prove anything. What kind of insane individual would actually do that work? Here is my spreadsheet I have created. It has scores from across all 221 street races in F1 history thus far, and has all 386 drivers who have taken part in street races up to now. Each race has been converted to the modern point system with 25 points for a win, no fastest lap point, and only those who actually finish the race score points. Now, this may sound like a stupid and difficult thing to do, and it's actually even more stupid and even more difficult than you would first expect. Especially when you have races like my own personal hell, known as the 1955 Monaco GP. In the 1955 Monaco GP, Maserati driver Jean Behra and Cesare Paradisa switched cars halfway through the race. So at the end of the race, Jean Behra and Cesare Paradisa both technically finished third in the number 34 Maserati car. They also both technically DNF'd in the number 40 Maserati car. To make it even more interesting, that number 40 Maserati car that DNF'd was classified as a DNF, but Stirling Moss, whose engine blew up 5 laps earlier, is classified as a finish and finished 9th. To add even more madness to this, Andre Simon is in this race 3 times. He was scheduled to compete with Van Wall but withdrew due to illness. Then he went to compete at the same race with Maserati but withdrew to compete with Mercedes, where he did start the race but retired after 24 laps. This is also the race where Alberto Ascari crashed and his car ended up in the harbour. It's not relevant, but if I don't say it, some prick in the comments will say, "You forgot to say this!" I didn't forget, it's just not relevant to the story I'm telling in this video. I never forget, I do all the research for the videos, not everything needs to be said. But despite the madness of the 1955 Monaco GP, I completed the spreadsheet and I've added up all the points, and I can officially reveal the man who has scored the most points in F1 street race history, and our official street goat is in this envelope here. It's a different envelope, I promise you that. Our official street goat is Lewis Hamilton. There you go, everyone. We have solved it. The man who scored the most points is Lewis Hamilton. He is the best. It is sorted, done, in the books. Oh, sorry. I know. We're all celebrating the crowning of the street goat here, but it doesn't seem fair. Right, so let's get something out of the way firstly. Lewis Hamilton scored over 1,000 points. The only driver ever to score over 1,000 points exclusively in street races. A tremendous achievement. But he has had an awful lot more street races than someone like a Graham Hill. Hamilton has done 89 street races in his career, whereas Graham Hill has only done 23. So, Hamilton has had more opportunities to score points. To put this truly into perspective of how many street races we have today compared to a few decades ago, Graham Hill competed in 18 seasons across his Formula 1 career, from 1958 to 1975. But across Hill's 18 seasons, he did 23 street races. Zhou Guanyu has competed in 3 seasons of Formula 1, and he also has 23 street races. So really, the best way to do this is not to see who has the most points, but who has the highest average points per street race. Then it's equal across everyone, and then surely we will have at the top one of our original 3 kings, either Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, or Graham Hill. One of them will have the highest average across the street races, and they will be officially the greatest street racer of all time. But just before we get there, I have spent an awful lot of time on this spreadsheet, and there's some fun numbers to look at. So before we get to our official street goat, everyone, a quick interval for F1 street racing. By the numbers, there has been 222 street races from the 1950 Monaco GP to the 2025 Monaco GP. Fernando Alonso, unsurprisingly, has had the most street track appearances, with 96, which means he has now competed in over 43% of all F1 street races. There have been 106 drivers who have never finished in the top 10 of an F1 street race. The worst of all of them is Esteban Gutierrez, who has competed in 13 street races and never scored a single point. Yukio Katamara has the worst average points of any driver who has scored at least 1 point in an F1 street race, with an average points of 0.05 points per street race, after he finished 10th at the 1997 Monaco GP, which at the time would have given him no points, but the modern system gives him 1 point. That was his only points finish from 17 street races. Of all the world champions, James Hunt has the worst average, scoring 0.57 points per street race. And by looking at all these numbers, we can figure out what the most average driver is as well. The average points per career is 56.4, and the average street races per career is 12. which makes Alexander Wurz the most average street track driver of all time, with 55 points from 13 races. But with all that being said, it is time to finally find out who the street goat is. Another envelope in my hand here. We've figured out who has the average points, and either it will be Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, or Graham Hill to decide the greatest F1 street racer of all time. And the driver with the highest average points and the greatest of all time is Juan Manuel Fangio. Juan Manuel Fangio has an average points per street track of 18. He only competed in 6 street tracks across his 9 F1 seasons, but picked up 3 wins, 1 second, 1 third, and a DNF, which gives him an average of 18 points, which means across his career, he finished every street track in an average position of 2nd place, which is incredibly impressive for a time when the cars were not reliable at all. But what of our 3 kings? Hill, Hamilton, and Schumacher. Hamilton has an average of 12.7 points, which puts him 10th all time. Schumacher's average is 10.52, which is 21st of all time. And Graham Hill finds himself 44th all time, with an average of 8.45 points, being beaten by both Damon and Phil Hill, which statistically means Graham Hill is the worst of all the Hills at F1 street racing. Looking at Graham Hill's record, we go back to what we said with Fangio. This was in an era where cars were not reliable at all, as Hill does have 5 Monaco GP wins, which puts him joint second with Michael Schumacher. But he also has 12 DNFs from his 23 street races, meaning he was pointless over 52% of the time. Now with this approach, we do have a few drivers who did 1 street race, did very well, and then never competed again, and find themselves near the top of the list, like Peter Arndl, whose 1 street race was his first ever F1 race, where he finished 3rd, and then he never competed in another F1 street race, giving him an average of 15 points per street race. Now, does that mean that Peter Arndl is better than Lewis Hamilton? No, probably not. So what we've done now is we've set a 5-race minimum to the average to get rid of all those who had their one-off great results. But does that actually help at all? Lewis Hamilton is actually now 5th and finds 3 world champions between himself and Fangio at the top. 4th all time is Jody Scheckter with an average of 12.86 points across 15 races. 3rd is Sebastian Vettel with an average of 13.18 points from 65 races. And 2nd is Jackie Stewart with 13.81 points from 11 races. Now, Stewart and Scheckter both come from eras where reliability was nowhere near as good as it is now, and not to bring back 2018 Hamilton versus Vettel debates, but Vettel had a few seasons of his career where he was in cars that should not have been anywhere close to the front of the grid. The 2 years in Toro Rosso, the 2 years in Aston Martin, and the 2020 Ferrari. Ooh. Whereas Hamilton has spent the majority of his career in a car that should be challenging for wins or podiums, which makes the fact that Vettel has a higher average even more impressive. So shouldn't they be in the GOAT debate too? This really hasn't helped. This has not helped at all, because what we've done here is we're trying to find the 1 greatest of all time. We started with 3 greatest of all time, and now we have 7 greatest of all time. But I can't help but feel there's a name that hasn't been mentioned that definitely should when it comes to street racing. Ayrton Senna holds the record for the most Monaco GP wins, so surely he should be in this debate as well. He has an average of 12.4 points per street race, which is higher than Schumacher, but if he's in the debate, Stirling Moss should be as well. He has a higher average with 12.5, and then Max Verstappen isn't far off the back of them either. So is he also in the debate? Right, enough. Get rid of this. I don't want it anymore. There is only one way to pick the definitive greatest street racer of all time. We're going to do it now. Spin the wheel! Congratulations, Nick DeVries. Congratulations, the greatest F1 street racer of all time, officially. There you go, it is sorted. That 12th place in Monaco was mighty impressive. Thank you for joining me to decide the greatest street racer of all time. We'll see you next time. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye!